controlling things from ESP32 web server. Now, if things aren't clear yet, you might be asking yourself, how am I going to control things from a web server that merely processes and delivers web pages? Well, then you need to understand what's going on behind the scenes. Now, when you type a URL in a web browser and hit enter, the browser sends an or HTTP request, which is basically GET request, to a web server. And in the example we previously explained, we mentioned Google servers. It's a job of web server to handle this request by doing something. You might have figured it out by now that we are going to control things by accessing a specific URL. For example, suppose we entered a URL like 192.168.1.1 lid on. I will write it down for you so that the idea will be more clear. Now if you wrote HTTP and we wrote a URL 192.168.1.1 and then we add a slash lid on. Now, if we did enter this in the browser then sends HTTP request to ESP32 to handle this request. When ESP32 reads the request, it knows that the user wants to turn the lid on from this line. It turns the lid on and sends a dynamic web page to a browser showing lid status on or off. Now this part of the URL can be anything else. Let me change the color. This part can be changed with anything else depending on the IP that you set for your ESP board, and this line or this word can be changed with any other thing, lid on, lid off, or turn lid on, turn lid off. And this is the HTTP request that we already mentioned. So this is basically what you are going to write in the web client, which is the web browser, and this will be sent to the server, which is the ESP board. And in that case, the ESP board will have a code that will be ready to receive this URL, and it will try to figure what's written here. Once it recognizes that it has lid on written here, it will turn on the lid. Then it will send a web page displaying the status of that lid to your web browser. So it's basically client or browser and server, then back to the client, and from the client to the server again, and this loop will continue. This is basically what we are going to do. We are going to write a code inside this server, and that code will has web page code, and it will has two buttons, on or and off. Once you call it by name, once you write 128.168.1.1, it will take you, once you write this in your browser, it will take you to this web page that exists inside the ESP server, and from there you can control these two lids, on or off. It's as simple as that. The ESP is the server and your web browser is the client. You will use your client to connect to the server and give it orders to turn lids on or off, and it will execute depending on the code inside it, and will send you the web page showing your lid status. I think that now the idea is more clear, and it will be even more clear with the coding in the coding section. So stay tuned, see you next, and we are going to start coding this board to act as a web server.